Hello students, welcome to today's class. So we were discussing about buoyancy. So when a body floats in a liquid, there are two forces acting on the body. Let us see a diagram. So this is a container, and in this container some water is taken, and a body is put in the liquid. Then which are the forces acting on the body? The one force is the weight of the body, which is acting vertically downward. One force is weight of the body, which is acting vertically downward through the center of gravity. Weight of the body is acting vertically downward through the center of gravity. The center of gravity of a body means it is a point where the weight of the whole body is concentrated. And about the center of gravity, sum of the moment, that is anti-clockwise moment and clockwise moment, becomes zero. So this is one of the forces, that is weight of the body, that is acting vertically downward through the center of gravity. Another force is buoyant force, which is acting vertically upward. Buoyant force is acting vertically upward through the center of buoyancy. The center of buoyancy means it is a point on the body where the buoyant force is concentrated. That is called the center of buoyancy. So these are the two forces which are acting on the body. And suppose that if the weight of the body is more than the buoyant force, then if the weight of the body is more than the buoyant force, in that case the body sinks. And suppose that in this case the buoyant force is more than the weight of the body, and if weight of the body and buoyant force are exactly equal, then body floats such that the upper surface of the body coincides with the free surface. So these are the three cases. So when a body is in a liquid, there are two forces acting on the body. One is weight of the body, which acts vertically downward through the center of gravity, and another one is the buoyant force, which acts vertically upward through the center of buoyancy. And we have also seen three cases. Next is the principle of flotation. Principle of flotation. The principle of flotation states that the weight of a floating body, principle of flotation states that the weight of a floating body is equal to the weight of the liquid displaced by the submerged part. Weight of a floating body is equal to the weight of the liquid displaced by the body. So that is the principle of flotation. Weight of floating body is equal to weight of liquid displaced by the submerged part of the body. That is principle of flotation. For example, suppose that we weigh a body, and suppose at weight of body, we are weighing a body with the help of a spring balance, and the weight of the body is 100 gf. Weight of the body is 100 gf. Then, what is the weight of the body? Suppose that it is 100 GF. We weigh a body with the help of a spring balance and the body weighs 100 GF. Now, we take a Eureka can. We take a Eureka can. Taking a Eureka can. The can which is provided with a spout, that is Eureka can. Then, up to the spout, water is filled in the Eureka can. Up to the spout, water is filled in the Eureka can. And the weight of the body is 100 GF. Under the spout, a measuring cylinder is kept. Under the spout, a measuring cylinder is kept. Now we put this body in the water. Now what will happen? Some water comes out through the spout, and the water which comes out is collected. Suppose that is of 100 ml. 100 ml. 1 ml is 1 centimeter cube. So volume of water collected is 100 centimeter cube. And what is the density of water? That is 1 gram per centimeter cube. You know, mass is equal to volume into density. So we will get 100 centimeter cube into 1 gram per centimeter cube, which is equal to 100 gram. So weight of the body, first of all we have weighed the body, and weight of the body is 100 GF, and the weight of water displaced is also 100 GF. Both are equal. This is the principle of flotation. The principle of flotation states that the weight of a floating body is equal to weight of the liquid displaced by the submerged part. So that is principle of flotation. Then apparent weight of a floating body is equal to 0. Apparent weight means true weight minus upthrust. So in this case, the true weight is 100 GF and upthrust is also 100 GF. So 100 minus 100 is equal to 0. So the apparent weight of a floating body is equal to 0. Apparent weight of a floating body is equal to 0. Now let us write a mathematical formula for principle of flotation. So weight of floating body is equal to weight of liquid displaced. Suppose the volume of body is V and density of body is D. Volume of the body is V, density of the body is D. So you know, mass of the body we calculate by the formula mass is equal to volume into density. Mass is equal to volume into density, and weight is equal to m into g. So weight is equal to m into g. So weight of floating body, then it will come as a mass will replace by volume into density. Then it will come volume into density into g. The weight of the floating body, that will come V into D into G. Weight of floating body, that will come V into D into G by this expression. Weight is equal to m into g, and m is volume into density. So weight of floating body, it will come as volume of the body into density of the body into acceleration due to gravity. Then weight of liquid displaced by the floating body, that will come volume submerged, volume of the body submerged into density of liquid into acceleration due to gravity. The weight of liquid displaced, that is equal to volume of the body submerged into density of liquid into acceleration due to gravity. So this is the formula. So this G and G is common, that can be cancelled from either side. Now we can also write this one as small v upon capital V, that is equal to density of body upon density of liquid. When we cross multiply, again we get the same. Small v is the volume of body submerged, capital V is the total volume of the body, D is density of the body, and dN is density of liquid. Volume volume submerged upon total volume of the body is equal to density of body upon density of liquid. This is the mathematical expression for expressing principle of flotation. So the principle of flotation states that weight of a floating body is equal to weight of the liquid displaced, and this is the formula. Now we see some of the applications of principle of flotation. Applications of principle of flotation. So you know, if we put a iron sphere or an iron ball, what will happen? A solid iron ball, if we put in water, it sinks. What is the reason? Because density of iron is more than the density of water. So in that case, the weight of iron ball, if you put a solid iron ball in water, it sinks because density of iron ball is more than density of water, or weight of iron ball is more than the buoyant force, so it sinks. And in the case of a ship is also made up of same material. Ship is also made up of iron, but it floats. The reason is that there is a empty space in ship, which makes the average density of ship, less than the density of water. That is why a ship floats, but the solid iron ball sinks in water. An iron ball sinks because the density of iron ball is more than water, but an iron ship that floats because there is empty space. From inside it is hollow, so there is empty space, which makes the average density of the ship less than the density of water. So in that case, the buoyant force which exerted by the water, that is equal to weight of the ship. So that is why it floats. And suppose that a ship is when a ship is loaded more, that time the ship sinks more, because in that case it has to sink more, so that the weight of the ship becomes equal to the upthrust. So when ship is loaded more, that time the weight of the ship is more. So the weight of the ship should become equal to the buoyant force. In that case, it has to submerge more, so that the weight of the iron ship becomes equal to the buoyant force. That is why when a ship is loaded, it sinks more. And some other observation which we see is, suppose that a ship enters from river water to sea water. When a ship enters from river water into sea water, then what is the observation? When a ship enters from river water into sea water, that time it will float more. What is the reason? Because the density of sea water is more than the density of river water. So sea water will exert more buoyant force. So since it exerts more buoyant force, then ship has to submerge less, so that the weight of the iron ship becomes equal to the buoyant force. And suppose that a ship enters from sea water into river water. When a ship enters from sea water to river water, then what will happen? What is the observation? Sea water to river water. When a ship enters from sea water to river water, the ship will submerge more, because the density of river water is less than the density of sea water. So since river water exerts less buoyant force, so then what will happen? This ship will submerge more. Now the next is plimsoll line. What is a plimsoll line? In the case of a ship, there is a safety limit. There is a safety limit, and that is marked on the ship. That is safety limit. That is called plimsoll line. So plimsoll line is the safety limit up to which a ship can be loaded. So a ship can be loaded up to the Plimsoll line. So that is the safety limit. Up to that a ship can be loaded. If we load a ship beyond the Plimsoll line, the ship will come to unstable equilibrium. In that case the ship can sink. So Plimsoll line is the safety limit up to which a ship can be loaded. So in the case of a human body, so human body, a person can swim in water. The average density of the human body is slightly more than the density of water, slightly more. So those who know swimming, they will be only able to float on water. Then, so it is easier to swim in sea water than river water. It is easier to swim in sea water than river water because the density of sea water is more than the river water. So sea water exerts more upthrust on the body. That is why it is easier to swim in sea water than river water. The next is a submarine. So submarine is a specially designed ship. It can move on the surface of water and also it can move under the water. So when a submarine moves on the surface of water, that time the density of the submarine is less than the density of water. And when a submarine has to go inside the water, this submarine has provided with a special tank. One tank's name is ballast tank. When a submarine has to go inside the water, then this ballast tank is filled with water. Ballast tank is filled with water. That time the average density of the submarine becomes more than the density of submarine. So it goes inside. And it is having a engine and all. So with that one, it will move inside the water, under the water. And suppose that when a submarine has to come up from the water, then near the ballast tank there is another tank. In that tank compressed air is filled. Then by using that compressed air, the air from the ballast tank is removed. By using the pressure of compressed air, the water from the ballast tank is forced out. Then what will happen? The average density of the submarine becomes less than the density of water. So submarine comes up. This way a submarine works. The next one is the flotation of iceberg. Iceberg means huge masses of ice. Huge masses of ice, which is floating in water. That is called iceberg. So in an iceberg, so that is floating in sea water. So with the most of the portion of the iceberg is under the water and less portion of the iceberg is seen above the surface of water. The density of ice is about 0.9 gram per centimeter cube and density of water is 1 gram per centimeter cube. So an iceberg, the density of iceberg is less than water, so it floats. So when it is floating, almost 95% of the iceberg is below the surface of water and almost only 5% is seen above the surface of water. Most of the volume is under the surface of water and only very less volume is above the surface of water. And it is these icebergs are very dangerous for ships. When a ship is coming from very far away, the ship is not seeing the whole iceberg. So if they are not careful, it can collide with the iceberg, and some tragedies can occur. So these are floating huge masses of ice. About 95% is below surface of water, and only the remaining portion is seen above the surface of water. Iceberg is floating because the density of iceberg is less than the density of water. The next is flotation of fish. Flotation of fish. That is also based on the principle of flotation. So fish has a special organ that is called swim bladder. Swim bladder. And this when a fish has to go down, then it decreases the volume of the size of the swim bladder by removing the gases from it. So when the size of the swim bladder decreases, when the volume of the swim bladder decreases, density of a fish increases, so it goes down. And when a fish has to come up, it increases the volume of the swim bladder. So by getting some gases. Then when the volume of the swim bladder increases, the density of fish decreases, which becomes less than the density of water. So then fish comes up. This way fish can come up on the surface of water, and it can move inside the water. So this is the case of fish. So it also works according to the principle of flotation. The next topic is rising of balloons. When a balloon is filled with less denser gases like hydrogen, you might have seen the balloons which are filled with hydrogen rises. What is the reason? The reason is that the upthrust exerted by air on balloon. So the density of air is more than the density of hydrogen, or the density of hydrogen is less than that of air. So when a balloon is filled with gases like hydrogen, then the balloon rises. The reason is that the upthrust exerted by air is more than the weight of hydrogen filled inside the balloon. That is why it rises. And when it reaches to a certain extent, that time balloon stops rising. The reason is that when it goes up, when it reaches to a high altitude, the density of air and hydrogen can become equal, or the upthrust exerted by air becomes equal to the weight of hydrogen filled inside the balloon. When both becomes equal, there it stop rising. It will stop there. So this is about the rising of balloon. So today we have discussed the topic principle of flotation, and also we have seen some of the applications of principle of flotation. So next class we will continue this topic.